everybody know that this meeting will be recorded. So it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel later for if anybody wants to rewatch. And yeah, so that was just a disclaimer. But as we wait a little bit more for more people to join, let's just do a short introduction about what Tomorrow Youth is, some upcoming events that we are going to host so you guys can have more of an idea. So Tomorrow Youth is a nonprofit organization created by teens during the pandemic as a way to support each other during the COVID-19 pandemic. And from weekly talent shows in 2020 to offering tutoring lessons and career workshops, such as the one today, we aim to provide entertainment to enrich the lives of families, to promote a healthy lifestyle, and to also form communities by creating a platform for teens to display their talents. So Tomorrow Youth will organize a virtually public roadshow in July, which is an upcoming event called the Youth Social Impact Conference. The purpose of this event is to provide a platform for the student organizations, which are nonprofit, to demonstrate their mission and vision, experience, achievement, and uniqueness of their organizations. Each organization can have more than one person, can have one person present for a maximum of 5 minutes, and you can definitely send in a video to us prior to the event if you cannot make it during July. So at the end of the presentation session, there will be a Q&A session, and if you are interested in participating in this event, please contact us. The information will be sent in the Zoom chat, or you can scan the QR code that we have on the Zoom background to connect via WeChat. Another ongoing event we will have is that we will host various tutor clubs throughout the summertime. You are more than welcome to join us as volunteers or as members for a super fun summer. So again, we will send our information in the chat for us to connect. So while we wait a little bit more, I can play a short video of some of our tutors that we will have during the summer for our clubs. And this does not include everybody, but this is just a short compilation of some of the lessons that we will offer. And please let me know if there's anything wrong with the video, like if you can't hear the sound or anything, just give me a thumbs up. So can everybody see this okay? Okay, I will play the video now.
Hi, I'm Evan Yin.
Bonjour, my name is Anna Yin from Tomorrow Youth.
Hi, I'm Wendy from Tomorrow Youth.
Hi, I'm Alice Young.
Hi, my name's Andrew, and I'm from Tomorrow's Youth.
And I'm a grade 11 student at Old Scona Academic High School, going into grade 12 next year.
I'm currently a grade 9 student from Grandview Heights School.
And I am part of the Harvard 2026 class and will be attending Harvard in August this year.
This summer, I'm excited to bring to you a course in drama and performing arts. We'll be taking a look at different pieces, seeing how to bring out characters, and training ourselves to give the best performance possible.
On June 25th, I'll be hosting a talk on my road to Harvard at 7 p.m., discussing my profile and what I think got me into Harvard, tips I would have to apply to Harvard and schools like it in the U.S., and just kind of my overall experience on applying to universities and American schools in general. Also, I'll be hosting weekly public speaking classes for all ages, starting June 23rd all the way to July 21st every Thursday, to teach people really the basic public speaking skills so that you can find more confidence in yourself and just to become a more compelling speaker.
Over the summer, I'll be hosting a Rubik's Cube class which will teach a method to solve the Rubik's Cube. With 3x3s in hand, we will delve into the art of problem solving, a skill that is so crucial to daily life.
This summer, I'll be hosting a hip hop dance course focusing on the basics and fundamentals of hip hop dance. There will be some choreographed routines, combos, and dances thrown in, and I'd love to share my experiences with you through this style of dance.
And during summer break, I will be hosting French fun lessons online starting July 6th. I'll be working with beginners interested in learning a new language or who want to improve their French skills. We'll be focusing on new and basic French vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, as well as playing all sorts of French games. See you there.
I look forward to having a lot of fun with you guys.
I look forward to seeing you in the summer.
I hope to see you all soon with in-person classes this summer.
I hope that video played okay. I apologize if it was laggy or anything, but we will post that on our YouTube channel later for you guys to view too. So without further ado, I will introduce the host of tonight. So joining us, it will be Emily Yang from Edmonton. I'd like to invite Emily to introduce herself and her role here.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily and I'm Alice's sister. And although that kind of makes me like a side character in her life, but I'm actually just someone who's really supportive of Alice because she's always been this leader and like main character in my life. I've known her for 16 years, which is like my entire life. And every moment of my life, I've been following Alice, looking at her like footsteps and seeing what a great leader she is. And having her as my sister has actually kind of shaped me into the person I am, because she's done so many amazing things that I believe that I should be just like her. And not like an exact copy of her, but someone who strives to do amazing things like go to Harvard. And I think that you'll have an amazing time asking her questions, and she'll definitely have a great insight to everything that you guys ask. And as you can see, even though we're sisters, we do fight a lot, but I think that me being really close with Alice has also helped me a lot. And I hope that with every insight you get into her life, you'll also feel a lot more confident and learn a lot. So let's dive into a Q&A session with Alice and see what kind of information and lessons she has to share with us.
Thank you, Emily. And I will let's invite Evan, our other host tonight.
Hello, my name is Evan. I am not related to Alice or Emily, but I could say that at school with Alice a year above me and Emily a year under me, I'm sort of like the middle child of this little group. So I'm simultaneously learning from Alice and also helping Emily adjust to the high school life. But let us redirect our attention once again to Alice, who is the main star of the show tonight. I am well aware of her expertise and her experience. And I think, yeah, you'll get a lot out of this meeting tonight. And I hope you guys ask a lot of good questions, because she will have a great supply of good answers.
Thank you, Evan, for your introduction. And without further ado, let's dive into our session. So Alice has a slideshow that she'd like to present as an introduction. So let's welcome Alice.
Okay, wait, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really know how to use Microsoft, but I'm trying to get used to it because because I feel like it's important. But hi, welcome everyone. Today is quite special for me because this is probably actually the first time I've done this. And so I'm a little new to this, and everything you see here today is never before seen information because I've actually never shared this with anyone. And today, I hope that everyone just learns even just a little bit about me. It's really not about copying me, but rather copying no, it's not like copying me in general, but just to like learn something from my experiences so that you can actually capitalize on it and do better. And that's really the core of what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, with it, let's get to it. So the road to a school in Boston. This is funny because the Harvard Reddit is like, we don't say we're from Harvard, we say we're a school in Boston. So that's just a thing. But so I'm Harvard 2026 class. So I was just admitted this year. So I'm graduating high school. I actually still have not graduated yet. I still have like a couple days and an exam, but I will be going to Harvard this August to start my first year in college. Okay, well, who am I? So my Harvard introduction is, I'm Alice. I am a rising freshman at Harvard from Edmonton, Alberta. Canada. Oh, it's unmuted. Okay. Jane, can you mute them? Okay. Well, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, which is in Canada, which is north of Calgary and east of Vancouver, which is how I like to go with it because no one knows where Edmonton is. And I'm interested in majoring in economics, government, and policy. So some more background is that I was born in Montreal. So I'm a Canadian citizen, and I moved to Edmonton when I was 5, and I went to high school in Edmonton at Old Scona Academic High School. Okay. So kind of my statistics and awards that I was submitted. I did the SAT once in October of grade 11. So when I just started grade 11, I got a 1530, and I was never able to take the SAT again because COVID just kept repetitively canceling everything. So that's what I also told them when I applied, was that it's not an amazing mark, but like this is the best I could do because I was never able to improve it because I could never take the SAT again. And then in terms of school marks, I was top 3 at school. And then some award was the World Scholars Cup. I competed from regionals to international rounds. And then in the final round at the Tournament of Champions, my team and I placed 23rd overall. And the competition was in trivia, writing, and debate. I also fenced competitively, kind of competitively. I'm not like amazing at it, but I did get top 16 in under 20 at Canadian Nationals. And then I got silver in team at Canada Cup and senior team, which is just like all ages. And then I did the Junior Achievement Company program. I was Vice President of Finance of the Year, and my company won Company of the Year. And then I was also first place at Edmonton Debate Regionals in my grade 11 year. So these are just like what I submitted to Harvard in terms of like my stats. And this just kind of shows like I'm not like the most amazing, smartest person in the world, definitely by far, not the smartest, but I have like decent enough statistics that like they're like, okay, well she'll survive. Like I'll pass school, that I won't fail out of school, basically, which is all this here shows. And then I have a lot of interest in different things. And yeah, and I've done pretty good on the regional level, national level, and like provincial level, and even at the international level with my World Scholars Cup award. Okay, so extracurriculars, part 1. So how the Common application does it, I applied through the Common app to Harvard, which is just like a system where you just write one essay and you can just send it to all the schools. It's called the Common app essay, which we'll go into more later. But you just create your own profile, and this profile is sent to every school you apply to, including Harvard. And this is how I did it. It's grouped into a specific category. So this is also how I grouped it. So for social justice, I was working with Covid-9 Tomorrow Youth. We were working in the pandemic, and we did a lot in terms of like anti-Asian racism, such as when we talked on the CBC interview, and we ran this forum during Canada Day. So that's what I talked about in social justice. It's very short, like 150 characters, I believe, for a description. And that's like what I talked about. Community service. I run Now Youth, which is a youth organization that I ran. We were an international youth organization over 11 countries, and we just did a lot about youth empowerment. And I'm also a voting committee member on the Edmonton Young Grants Committee. I think we've distributed around like $50,000 to projects that like help support, like they're led by youth that help support their community, and especially those communities who are more vulnerable. And then we're student government / politics. For politics, I'm a voting committee member / project leader on the City of Edmonton Youth Council. So I'm like a youth counselor basically. And I'm also the Secretary General of our school's High School Model United Nations Club, which is just like the head exec of the high school HS1 club. And then other activities was I was the head executive officer of Speech Club at school. And it was interesting because Speech Club, I kind of helped start it because I was the first year, like I was the first head executive officer because it was just newly created at the time. I ran it with a teacher. Extracurriculars continued. So I also had the cultural aspect where I played guzheng, and especially pre-pandemic, I played a lot at like senior homes and hospitals. And I also played for Jason Kenney when he came to Chinatown like 3 years ago in 2019. And then in terms of research, I think it's really important that you also have research because like you see like all my extracurriculars previously, it's very like community based, not very academic based. So research was really important to have like that academic aspect as well. So I seem very well-rounded here, where I was a junior researcher for the Eureka program, where we looked at factors of COVID-19 and like a meta-analysis on like temperature, mental health, and like factors like those. And I also have a job, which I work as an assistant coach at my Edmonton fencing club. So this was pretty important because they kind of show that I have, like, I support myself to an extent, and that I take enough responsibility to have a job, and I'm able to actually earn a job and maintain it, which is actually harder than it seems, I think, keeping your job, especially as a kid. So I think overall, both pages of my extracurriculars kind of show that well-roundedness that I have, that I obviously have a passion. Like it's obvious like what I like to do, like here, like it's so obvious what I like to do, but it doesn't mean that I don't do other things as well, and that I'm actually mature enough to like broaden my horizons and do different things and push my limits. Yeah. Okay, moving on to my essays. Okay. Oh no, sorry. My essays. So there's 3 essays that I wrote for the Common App plus Harvard. So applying to Harvard, basically. So the Common App essay, you have 1 essay, which is just a general essay. You can write on anything you want about like yourself. It's a personal narrative essay where you have to communicate like who you are, like what you've gone through in life, what has affected you as a person, what are your values, what do you believe in, what do you fight for, and what you kind of hope to do in the future. So it's a very complex essay, and it takes a long time to figure out what you want to do. But like, we'll talk about that later, figuring that out later. And then also the Harvard essays. Harvard essay has, I don't know if it'll change in the upcoming years, but for me, there was an optional essay on a topic of your choice. They give you sample topics like, I'm trying to think, like why Harvard, I think was one of them. There was like a lot, and there was like something about academic honesty. There's also one of those, but you could write anything you want. And then there was also a required extracurricular essay. This one's like just like a short, like 250 word essay. Also the Common App essay is really long. It's like kind of big. It's 650 words. So it's a big essay because you have to write a lot. So for my Common App essay, I did something pretty stereotypical. I would not actually advise doing this. I did a pretty classic identity essay, which is like who I am. And to be, like, unless you can do this very well or have like something that's very unique, which is what I did through like guzheng and talking about that, because not a lot of people do guzheng. Like I would actually suggest very strongly against this, because like I'm a Chinese second generation, right? My parents came from China, immigrated to Canada. Like
I'm like half Chinese, half Canadian, and then there's like struggles between Eastern and Western like cultures. But the thing is, a lot of Chinese people apply to Harvard. So it's actually very generic in the broad sense. So if you just talk about that, you're like, it's not very interesting to them. But for me, I was able kind of to elevate it because I talked about Guzhen and then spreading my own culture in like the context of where I live in Edmonton, which is like mostly conservative, which is not like Calgary, actually. If you're living in Calgary, I'm sorry, but you can't actually use that because I can actually go with we're mostly homogenous, pretty conservative group of people. So it was a lot more difficult like growing up and then like using Guzhen to communicate with those around me. And I get to use the COVID-19 thing because COVID-19 actually deeply affected me in my high school career. So it's actually very relevant to like what my context growing up and what really shaped me. And I think a lot of people can talk about it, but COVID-19 is also very generic. So you really, really, really have to make it your own thing. I think that's very important here, that it has to be about you in the end. And I talked about, for example, COVID-19, like briefly with anti-Asian racism, and then growing up. Well, first of all, I talked about growing up and like how like having being Chinese and Canadian is like kind of wacky for me. But it's like also like using Guzhen to help me find where I sit in this world. And then COVID-19 was kind of like a boom. So, and then I talked about how I faced COVID-19. So really, as a person, I talked a lot about like I value like communication and becoming like your own like unique part of the most cultural mosaic of Canada. Like that's what my values are. And then like what I want to do is obviously like social justice and like giving a voice to people around me and myself. And then also I show my resilience and strength when I face obstacles like COVID-19 and my own identity. So like, oh, here's the quote that I put. This is like my last sentence. So it might not make sense in this context, but like that was kind of, this is like what I wrote in that. Identity is not something I am, but the source of my strength in everything I do. By bridging the chasm of passive coexistence, the world finds revelation with every note I strum. So you want something like that's like a banger like that. And it's hard. It doesn't count. This is not my first draft. This did not show up my first draft. This like showed up like number 50, like draft number 50. It was crazy. So it's a lot of work, but it's like serious reflection about who you are because, okay, I don't want to talk about this. This is not, because I'll talk about my advice later, but you kind of get a sense that although it seems at first glance, very generic in that everyone could write about it, but in fact, not everyone can actually write about it because it's actually put myself into it. Okay, and then Harvard essays. This was kind of fun. I actually copied an essay that I wrote for my UC Berkeley application. So this was actually not an original essay because I had zero hope. So I was just like, I'm just gonna copy this essay and call it a day. But it turned out pretty good. So I ended up, I think one of the sample topics was also like discussing an academic experience or like an adventure I had. So I ended up discussing my history extended essay for my IB diploma and my history IA. Oh, I am also a full IB student. I think that also really helps. But so I had to write an extended essay and my history IA. For my history extended essay, I talked about the fall of Jiang Qing and why she was unable to succeed Mao after the Cultural Revolution. So I kind of talked about like women in history and their villainization, but also like their like hubris, which also showed up in my history IA when I talked about Napoleon's fall as well, like fall of great leaders. So Napoleon, how he invaded Russia, and that was just a very bad idea. So yeah, that's what happened. And then so I just did like talked about how history is so important for us to learn and why it's so interesting to me. And like it just centered around this quote that I said I saw in Mr. Peters, which is our social studies teacher's classroom, that history never repeats itself, but it does often rhyme. And I literally stare at this quote every day for like an entire year and a half before I wrote this essay. So this was very stuck in me, and I had a lot of time to think about this. And then for my required extracurricular essay, I discussed work with with COVID-19 / like right now tomorrow youth during COVID. And yeah, just more specifically. And that was just like a really short essay just to expand more. Okay, so what got me in. That's what we're all here for. Yeah, I had to craft the story first because I think it's important that you look at everything in context because everyone grew up differently. Your parents come from different places. You live in a different place. So like it's a holistic admission process where they try to understand your life story and who you are as a person. But like, this is just what the key aspects I think it was, but it was placed in the context of my entire story that I talked about earlier. So AO is just admissions officer. So it was definitely my essays, I think, because it really demonstrated who I was. They can't see everything from my stats and my extracurriculars. They don't know exactly what I value, why I do what I do. So that was important. And then leadership and advocacy in the community and at school. This I know was definitely very important because I got a personalized email later that from my admissions officer that told me, yeah, like in particular, we thought your leadership and advocacy in the community and work you've done there was like very, very interesting. So I know that is definitely something that was very interesting to them. And I think that's just Harvard as a whole. They just value like leadership and community-centered people because they're a liberal arts college, because they like believe in like developing people, like good people for this world. And what better people do you find other than like in leadership and advocacy, people who do leadership and advocacy in community. And in my interview, this was very important. The above things are also important because if you don't do well in your application, they won't even send you an interview. So you need to do that, but you also need to do really good in your interview because they interview like, I think my interviewer told me he interviewed like 40 people just in Northern Alberta, like 40 people in Northern Alberta. I was the only person who got in Northern Alberta this year. And I think like 2 or 3 people got in Calgary. That's Southern Alberta. But like, I think like I just did really good in my interview. My interview lasted like 1.5 hours. And then I literally called my interviewer later and talked to him for another hour, like 2 days later. We're talking about like, we're talking about Harvard and kind of how it feels to live in the US. He wasn't actually a Harvard college student. College is the undergraduate college of Harvard. He was actually a Harvard graduate school. I don't know what he graduated, but he's currently a professor in engineering at the University of Alberta. And yeah, so like really getting to connect to that person one-on-one. So like application, you can get anyone to write your application, but in an interview, like they actually, like they can tell if you're lying or if you're not being genuine or you're being really superficial. Like that's when they actually test you for like who you are. Are you able to talk to people? Can you communicate clearly and effectively? Are you someone with charisma? Are you able to carry on conversation and talk about yourself in like a humble manner, but also able to express everything you need to express? Like, so like just like those talking and speech skills are so important then, because especially since I was over Zoom, it's so much harder. Also, my interviewer didn't even turn on his camera. I think it's because he didn't understand how to turn on his camera. But do you know how hard it is to actually create engaging conversation with a black screen? It ended up being very hard. But I think post-COVID era, you guys will have less of a problem with this. But it also carries on because you're in person with them. It's a little scarier, I think, if you can actually see their face. Maybe for some people, especially if you're really nervous talking to people. But like, so interviewers are very, very important that you have very good impressions on them. But also know that like if you end up failing it, it's not that big of a deal. But I think if you do really well at it, like I think I did, it's very helpful for you. So that's kind of interview. Actually, I'll talk about kind of my tips here because I didn't actually talk about interview. I just realized about in my advice section. But interviews, it's just practice. Like I did so many interviews before this for like scholarships or like other universities or just like, for example, my job and other positions. Like I've had like a lot of interview experience, especially on Zoom. So I wasn't super fazed by it, but I think but your university interviews should not be the first interviews you're doing in your life. That is not going to work for you because every time you interview, whether you fail or succeed, you're going to learn a lot and improve your interpersonal skills. So make sure from like an early age, like try and get opportunities to be interviewed by people. And like you can even practice at school, especially if you, for example, you're doing like a presentation for school, like start practicing those skills, like watching people's faces, understanding kind of their physical cues. Are they interested in you? Are they bored? How do you fix that? And you should just start being very aware, especially when and talking to other people, even in casual conversation. So just giving that like aura of like confidence and knowing who you are, that's very important, I think. So, okay, now moving on. Okay, some lessons I learned about the application process. This is kind of overall and also targeted to my rising grade 12 students who are applying. So definitely start early, guys. I cannot emphasize this. I know everyone says this, but I'm seriously telling you, you cannot procrastinate this. Your university applications are not something you should be doing like the day before it is due. It is not a good idea. And it is a lot of unnecessary stress. So I started early and I think I benefited a lot from that because I did a lot of smaller short-term deadlines that I created for editing and getting drafts done, organizing my time. It helped so much. And I was able just to be very much more efficient with my time. So one thing I would say is that for like how you start early, like what that means is that you need to have your Common App essay literally done before September of grade 12, like September grade 12 starts. It needs to be done. Like you need to spend all July and August just deciding and writing and then rewriting. And don't be afraid just to put words on paper. And then you can revise and don't worry, but you need to just start thinking. I think I started thinking about my Common App like even way before, maybe like during grade 11, just like journaling or just like casually just go like, what's a life story that I want to tell them, tell my admissions officer. So, and then, yeah, so Common App essay written, I think just in the summer, even if you're not applying early decision or early action, just like try and have it like done in the summer. So you can just ignore it and work on your university specific essays. And yeah, because grade 12 is so busy first semester. You're so stressed about so many other things like your grades and like handing in internal assessments for IB or like your extended essay. It's unimaginable near. Like it's so stressful. So be nice to yourself, your future self, and start early in the summer. Another thing is to accept criticism and rejection, but just make sure you don't let it dictate everything. You still have the final say. In the sense of the Common App essay, of the essays in general, it's good to have people read it over. And it's good to have very different people read it over that you trust. Because like everyone thinks a little differently about your essay. Like my essay was not the most popular essay I wrote. It was like a lot of people said it was so bad. You know, so many people told me it was like literally the worst essay ever. It was so mean. People were so mean to me about my essay when I talked about them. And then I got into Harvard. So that's what happened. So I think that's like, that just shows because although like I wasn't like so stubborn that I didn't change anything, but people told me to rewrite the entire thing. And I did not rewrite the entire thing. I just changed it so I thought it was better. But it's like, just know that this is about you and no one knows about you or the AO, honestly, better than yourself. You are the one applying. You are the one who knows like your entire life story. So you are in the best position to write that essay and to like decide whether that essay is good enough. So I think a lot of like you should have confidence in yourself, but also take criticism, but just don't let that just change because they aren't you. They don't know anything. And I think this is also in general for the people who are like not at the stage writing essays. Like there's people who just don't want you. Like it happens. Like you get rejected. You apply for a job, you apply for a position, and you don't get it. Like that's happened to me so many times. But I'm able to succeed because I applied to so many. It's like brute force. If you have like a 10% acceptance rate, I applied to like 100. I got 100 opportunities. I got rejected from 90 of them, but I got accepted in the 10, and the 10 were the ones I needed. So accept rejection and just like don't let that dictate your entire life. If you get rejected, it is what it is. You just have to move on and keep going. And if you like even a 10% acceptance rate for itself, like if for opportunities, 10%, you apply to 100, you get 10, you get in 10. That's enough for me, I think. So also important is that it's important in the application process and just pre-application process. Who you think you are is ever evolving. So don't be afraid to change. If you from like grade like 2 knew that you were going to be an astronaut, and then now you're in grade 11 and you have second thoughts about it, that's totally okay. I thought I was going to be a neurosurgeon. I'd go into med school since like from grade like 1 to since like when I knew what med school was to like grade 9. And then I realized this was a horrendous idea and I'm not going to med school. That is you heard that here first, guys. And you see like I like economics and government and policy. Like that's like who I was definitely changed and like what my goals were and my values. And like don't be afraid to accept that, especially in the application process. Like schools just keep asking you, who are you? What do you want to do in life? Like you're continuously being asked to reflect. And I think like through my application process, like through each school, I might have said a different career that I wanted to pursue or like a different job that I want to do. So that's totally okay because we keep changing. So don't just hold on to something like just like stubbornly, and just be open to that. And I think it's very important, especially in the reflection process, especially when you apply, like be open to change. If you so continuously challenge your own perceptions and reflect. This is even pre-application process. Think about what you want to do, why you really want to do it. That's important to think about it. And if you think for example, your parents are good enough reason, then that's okay too. But just as long as you know that. Okay. Advice applying to Harvard specifically. Write the optional essay. I don't really have a sample size for like telling you people who wrote the optional essay got into Harvard, but I can still tell you, I think writing the optional essay is a good idea because the more you write about yourself, the more they know about you. And the more they know about you, well, like if you're a person who's gonna get into Harvard, the more likely you're gonna be accepted to Harvard. Portray yourself as honestly as possible. I think it's okay if you like twist around words and stuff because there really is not enough words for you to specifically explain everything. That's just like, you're just gonna have to be vague, but just try to be honest because they can actually tell. They can very much tell. These people have seen so many applications, the AOs, they've seen thousands, if not tens of thousands of applications. They know what you're trying to say. So, and then also there's like, I think a lot of people, it's like, there's so much emphasis on you should try to be unique. You have to be different. And I did talk about that, but it's important that you know that you are just naturally unique as a person who has grown up where you are, who has a family, like who has your family, who has your hobbies and your life experiences. You are just naturally unique. And the AOs can tell if you're trying to be superficially, like really try hard at trying to be unique, because it just seems awkward and cheesy. So just when you portray yourself as honestly as possible, you are the most unique as possible. As long as you dive in deep and you demonstrate who you are, that is what that is unique enough. And then I applied regular decision cycle for Harvard. So that is like in January when the deadline is, when I applied to everything else. I didn't apply restrictive early action because that means if I applied restrictive early action at Harvard, I can't apply to any other private school in America. And I also, like, from what I've seen from other people, it's just not worth it because, first of all, like, unless you're actually going to get into Harvard, like, a very, like, low amount of people still, like if you're going to get in the regular decision, you're going to get into REA. But if you don't get in, or you get deferred to regular decision. If you don't, what I mean is if you don't get in early at Harvard, wait, sorry, this is a very big tongue twister. Sorry. If you're not going to get into Harvard anyway, restrictive early action is not going to increase your chances. That's what I mean to say. So because they don't look at demonstrated interest, they don't care whether you applied early because you like Harvard. They just like assume, oh, you just want to apply early because you want to get your college decision early. The only difference for them is that the deadline is November and the other deadline is January. So you might as well give yourself more time and experience to think about your essays and apply in January. Because like some schools, like for example, University of Pennsylvania, they actually care about demonstrated interest because you're in a binding decision because they do early decision. You're in a binding position. If you get accepted, you have to go. So when you apply early decision, they go, oh, you actually really like, you genuinely like University of Pennsylvania. And if we accept you, you'll definitely come. But Harvard, they don't care about that. It's just the only difference to them is the deadline November and January. So I would say definitely apply regular. I don't know why you would ever apply early at Harvard. Unless like you're so sold on it that yours like it's either Harvard or nothing for me. But I don't think that is the right mindset anyway to go into. So regular decision is definitely better. Okay. Now advice for students applying to US universities. You can reuse essays. Like, especially applying to multiple schools like I did, there's no way I'm writing like 50 essays. That is not going to happen. But I reused my essays. Like my Harvard essay, I actually reused it from the University of Berkeley, my Berkeley, California, the California system. I just reused it. But make sure for school specific essays, make them specific to the school and not generic. Try not copy and paste. This didn't apply to Harvard because Harvard doesn't have a why Harvard essay unless you actually do the why Harvard essay in the optional essay. But for like other US universities, a lot of them do just like why the school. Make sure you do it really specific essay. Just take the time, which is why you guys have to start early, because you need to take the time. Know the type of students each university looks for. This is super important, including for Harvard, because we like, as I talked about, it looks at independent community-centered leaders with a desire for a well-rounded liberal arts education. And this is in juxtaposition to the pre-professional student. It's like dead. That is not what I meant of deadest. I meant dead. Wait, what was the word I meant?
Dead set.
I meant to say dead set. I don't know what happened here. I think it's the autocorrect. Let me just fix that. Dead set on their future. That is not what I meant to write. Yeah. Dead set on their future. Okay. Because like Cornell and UPenn and trying to think. Okay, but like those two schools specifically are very pre-professional schools because I think a telltale sign is like they separate their schools. They have a school of business, a school of arts and sciences, like a school of nursing, a school of, even Columbia, school of engineering, like kind of like that. So these are pre-professional schools. They're like, you don't have to do a lot of general education. They're just preparing you to get a job and make money. But Harvard and Princeton and Yale are very liberal arts wise. So they're kind of like, they're teaching you to be a better person, like those soft skills rather than hard skills. So that's the kind of students they look for. Is like, for example, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, they look for students with soft skills. And like Cornell and Penn, they look for school like kids who will excel at hard skills more rather than like they want a job. They're like working, they're getting internships and everything. And this like goes on to the next tip, which you will get accepted to the school you'll be successful at. So they want each type of student because they know this is the kind of student that would actually enjoy school and that would actually stay at school and graduate and be successful and utilize their resources and connections and actually like do something with it. So, for example, I did not get into Cornell and Penn. And I actually agree with that because I do not think I was a pre-professional kid. Like, I do not know, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do in the future. And like the school system, how like to do different schools is very narrow and rigid. And it doesn't really allow a lot of freedom and like develop you as a person rather than just like your ability as a worker in society. And I'm really thankful for that. So like when you're applying to US university, I highly don't suggest you apply to every Ivy League university. Like I didn't apply to them all. I only applied to the ones that I thought I was actually interested in going to. Like for example, I did not apply to Brown. No shame if you applied to Brown, but I did not apply to Brown because I knew I would not be happy at Brown. Like you have to research where they are. Like Providence is where Brown is at. I was on Google Maps and I was like, this is not, I will not live here for 4 years. This is not going to happen. So make sure you research where these universities are at, right? What kind of culture is in the town? Like I heard Providence just has no culture. Like someone told me that and it's like forever been stuck in my head. So I was like, I'm not going to Brown. So you have to like think like, oh, if I get in, would I go? And I think this is very important. I didn't write this here, especially when you compare it to Canada, because we're Canadians. UBC, U of A, U of C, U of T, Western, Queens, McGill, like these are all very, very good schools. I don't think some people realize that, but they're actually very good to like compared to a lot of US universities too. So, and they're cheaper, which is a lot nicer. U of T, if you're a Canadian citizen, is a lot cheaper than if you went to Brown, I guess. I'm really being mean about Brown, but that's what I mean. For example, if you would rather go to U of T, which I did, like over Brown, like I would rather go to U of T than Brown, then I would not apply to Brown, like or like just any US university, because I applied to some liberal arts colleges too, and like some other university. No, yeah, liberal arts colleges. That was it. So I just like thought about every college I applied. Would I go to the school in the US? Would I spend like 70 grand a year USD? Or like probably more, honestly, with living costs, like 80,000, 90,000 USD a year, when I could just go to U of T for like 2,000. I feel like it's not 2,000, like 5,000 a year, 9,000 a year Canadian. So I think that's important. You have to like start thinking about this in July, like of grade 11, grade 12. But if you're younger, I think you can also think about this, do your research. The research stage takes a very long time, a lot of hours. Just browsing Google, browsing Reddit, if you so desire. I did Reddit about these schools and whether it's actually worth to go to these schools. And it's important to like do that weighing, because you should not apply to as many schools as possible. Like apply to like maximum like 12, 13, 14. And I think that's a lot already. Like on average, like 7, 8 schools that you think you would do really well at and that you would be really happy at. And yeah, that's just kind of my advice there. Advice to students in general. I'm gonna try and wrap this up quickly. Okay, students in general, try new things and don't be afraid to quit. That sounds generic, but I'm actually like, honestly, I did so many things when I was younger. Like I was like in doing art. I did violin for a while. I quit. These are the things I quit. I quit art. I quit violin. I kind of quit soccer. I basically quit soccer. I just play sometimes. And then like I quit figure skating. There was a lot of other stuff too. Yeah. So it's just like this just shows I explored a lot of things and I realized that it was not it for me, and it's okay. I spent like a couple years in each. So like you might think it's a waste, but if you really find out that it's just not it for you, like don't be afraid to stop. But also, this doesn't mean that you can just stop everything you do because you don't like it, because you have to carefully evaluate why you do not want to do it. Like because you're lazy and you do not want to get out of bed is not a reason to quit something. Yeah, so make sure you evaluate why you don't want to do it. And trade-offs will happen. Like I quit figure skating so I could focus on fencing, and I think that was a valid reason for myself and it worked for me. So make sure you carefully evaluate why you want to quit, and you have to have good reason. It's just to justify for yourself. But so overall, try new things. Don't be afraid to like really pursue it and quit if you really find out that's not it. And then also rejection is redirection. I saw this on a random YouTube video and it's actually my new motto. This is so cool. I really believe rejection is redirection. So in the college sense, if you don't get into college you want, I don't think it's the end of the world, because at any college, if you're really going to excel, you will excel. You get out of the college education as much as you put into it. And also it's important because just because I go to Harvard does not mean I will succeed, because if I don't try, I will be like any other person who is failing college. So it is important that you put effort into everything you do, and it doesn't matter whether you get rejected or you're going to or you get accepted. This is also important just in the sense of opportunities, like I talked about earlier. Like if you get accepted at 10% of the things you do, that's enough. If you try hard enough, if you apply to more things, you literally brute force the percentage, the probability. So eventually you'll succeed. There's no way you get rejected from everything. If you're getting rejected from everything, you just have not applied to enough things. That's what I'm going to say. So yeah, so don't be afraid to keep trying. And I think this is important because you need to find internal motivation to become better, like a better person, a better student. Because if you rely on the expectations of others, like you will not be successful. Even though it seems okay right now, in the future, it will not have, like long term, it is just not healthy and it is not going to work. You can't depend forever on others. And it's just, and like if you fail, it always feels so bad. But the point of this presentation is that failure is okay as long as you jump back onto your feet and you keep trying. But if you always look to others for that motivation, it's very hard, I think, to move on. So it's very important that you find yourself, what you believe in, what you value in. And it's, remember, it's okay to explore and change. But like, as long as like you find something in here, like in your heart, that like motivates you to become better every day and get out of bed. Yes, I still work on this. It's important, like I don't have this down yet too, totally. So I'm still working on this. It's a continuous process, but as long as you're actually becoming more aware about it, I think you're just improving as a person. Yeah. Advice to parents. I don't know if there's actually parents here, but I think there are parents here. But like, I wanted to say this. This is, please know that I am not a parent, so I would actually not know, but this is what I felt was good for me to parents, like from my parents. So like during university application season, you just need to be present and supportive. Okay. I am so stressed already. Like during university, I was so stressed like about myself. Like because the thing is I have internal motivation. I care about what university I get into and I actually want to get into them. So like my parents applying extra stress on me was not necessary at all and would probably just freak me out even more and not counterproductive. So, and I think it's very good to have parents who are role models for confidence and strength. Like, for example, I look towards my mom a lot. She's very cool and she's just so confident and strong in everything she does. And I kind of I aspire to be like her. And I have someone who I really look up to, who is a very, like, it's like pretty good to be someone with confidence and strength. So that's really important. Be really good role models to your kids. Like kids copy, like, especially from a young age, like kids copy you. So if you tell me to do something, like it will not stick as deep as if it was like if I saw you doing it, and I will just copy you because I think that's good. It's like this doesn't really work if you're a high school student anymore because we're matured now. But like especially for younger kids, like we just emulate those around us. Do not become your child's motivation. This is about the thing, self-motivation. It will not work out in the long term even if they get into Harvard. If you get into Harvard and you only do it because your parents are happy, like you're not going to succeed at Harvard. I'm going to say right now that you're just like, you're going to be away from your parents and you're going to be depressed and sad and you're going to flunk out of college. So it's important that you find like something in here in your heart that actually resonates with you. And then instead I would say parents, like, but like, just because you shouldn't like be harsh on your kids and like push them, like just because like you shouldn't like try and become like everything to your child. Like it doesn't mean you can't actually push them to do things that they might not be comfortable doing. Because like honestly, if no one told me to do something, like no one, like my parents didn't like constantly like remind me to get stuff done, I think in the beginning, or like to try new things, I definitely would not have been as comfortable doing it. But because I always have like some sort of like pressure behind it, like pushing me forward, like I end up doing it because I ended up have to do it. And I find it myself that I'm actually really okay with it. But it's just, I think it's important that it's like you don't force them under like one direction. If you just force them like outwards in general, like they can go anywhere outwards. Like I think that's okay because I still found what I wanted to do. And I was able to get it done in a very fast amount of time, like before I graduated high school, because someone was behind me, pushing me, telling me that I could do better. I could do so much more if I just use my time properly. So that's what I would say. But like, but be supportive. We love supportive parents, though. I think that's it. I covered a lot of things, but that's it. I think we can do questions, Evan.
Yeah, we can hop right into the Q&A session now, because I know everyone has a lot of questions, and Alice probably answered a lot of your questions with her amazing presentation. But we can open like the chat if you have any questions, like specific ones to Alice, but we can like get started with some questions that people have already submitted. So Alice, do you think that taking IB courses is more important than taking AP courses for applying to Harvard University?
Oh God, I know this question comes up a lot. I also had this question. I think, okay, for context, my school does not have AP. So I didn't choose to do IB or AP. But I will say that I personally find, I don't know, maybe it's just like superiority in me, but I think IB is harder than AP. And I kind of think that Harvard knows this, especially full IB is a lot harder than just a lot of AP classes, because you do a lot of extra research stuff on top, like theory of knowledge classes and extended essay, and then CAS, which is like a creative activity service, like portfolio you have to make over 2 years. And you have to make a CAS project. There's a lot of extra things you do that AP does not make you do. And I think that just develops you better as a person, like not even for applying to Harvard, but like develops you as a more well-rounded person who has explored a lot more things, which is very helpful, I think, for university applications. So like in terms of academics, maybe IB and AP are pretty equal. It just depends on what you have at your school. And like you have like pushed the limit. Like full IB is the hardest like course load you can take at my school. So obviously I have challenged myself academically further than most other kids have at my school. And if you have AP at your school, I don't know how many APs normally people take, but if you take like 10 APs and that's like really hard, they will accept it. It looks good academically. But if you think about extracurricular wise and creating like a better person, like so you can talk about for your interviews or your extracurriculars, I think IB is a lot better because it teaches you a lot of things that perhaps you would never have explored with AP. For example, my extended essay. I talked about my extended essay, which you don't write in AP that I write for my IB diploma that I did on my Harvard application. So yeah, that's what I think about it.
Okay. Would you say that AP is a very United States oriented program, whereas IB is more universal, like its targets are more universal?
Yeah. AP is like a US thing. It's US based. It's administered by the US College Board, and then IB is administered by an international board. So IB is definitely a lot more helpful for applying to like international schools in general. Okay. Like if you applied to England, I think IB is a lot better than AP. But like for US, I think IB and AP are pretty like equal, like on the academic term wise. It just depends on like how much AP are you doing, how much IB you're doing. Like, are you taking the maximum? Are you challenging yourself? So like just like whatever is harder. Right. I personally think IB is harder though.
Well, only knowing IB does make that.
Exactly. So yeah, so I'm a little biased.
That's all right. Let's look
okay.
at a few more questions. Do you want to take turns, Emily?
I thought we were, but okay, yeah. So someone else says that they feel nervous when they talk with their peers and teachers, especially when their name is called to answer questions. Do you have any tips on how to conquer this fear?
Okay. Well, okay, stage fright and like being nervous is something that's totally normal. I'm also nervous too a lot of the times. And what I think about it is like, I think practice is very big, and just like meaningful practice. Like start trying to like improve step by step. Maybe for example, for like a week or a month, just like whatever time frame, every time someone asks you a question, you try to answer it without saying or filler words like that. Like very small steps. And then after you can succeed doing that without thinking much at all, maybe move on to speaking with a louder voice. Every time someone asks you a question in front of the classroom, speak with a slightly louder voice than you usually do. And then, so like, I think just being very conscientious of what is happening, where your weakness and your strengths lie is very helpful to kind of overcoming that nervousness. Because like, it's just like small steps. It's like, there's no way, there's like, today you listen to me talk here, and the next day you go to school, you're gonna talk with confidence. Like it's impossible. So that's like, it's a long journey. I think work very hard. Like, yeah, practice. Like the more like if you get more comfortable with it, it becomes less of like, you become less aware of like the nervousness. So I don't know if that helped, because I think everyone's very different, but that's how I would approach this.
I think my family has told me to become quieter. And somehow
No, you should
Yes.
not become quieter. No. That is literally counterproductive. You should
see.
learn how to be. No, if you talk quieter, it's just like you don't seem confident like immediately because you don't know what you're saying.
Is that so?
Also, it's helpful because to talk if you know what's happening. If you don't know, you cannot talk confidently unless you're straight up lying. I don't know. So if they're calling on you on something that you don't know, it's okay to be nervous. Maybe literally confidently say, I don't know, because that is the one thing you know, which is that you do not know. So being honest, I think helps a lot with confidence, because if you don't know what you're talking about, you're not going to be confident.
That's true. That's true. Another question from Ahil. Wait, so if you're
Ahil?
American, does it go the same way for tuition? Like, is the tuition fee reduced? I assume this is talking about like Canadian universities reducing.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I can talk about this. So Canadian universities, I think most public universities, because US, most of these schools are like private, like all the Ivy League institutions are private institutions, whereas like U of T, U of A, U of Calgary, UBC, these are all public institutions, meaning that they favor the people who come from like their area, which is like Canada, for example, for Canadian schools. So they're going to charge international students a lot more money because you're not the people they care about. They care about domestic students. And they basically help incentivize domestic students to apply. They don't really care about international students. For the US, it's the same. Like UC Berkeley, like the University of California schools, they're so expensive for international students, but they're so cheap for the domestic students. But for the private institutions, most of them do just the same price for everyone. It's because they don't really care where you come from, because they're not affiliated with like the state government or like a government where they like are literally mandated. They're mandated to favor domestic students more. So that's kind of the difference there. So just like so if you're Canadian and you're applying to Canadian universities, that's good for you. If you're applying to US state universities, it is not beneficial to you, because you're going to have to pay a lot and they don't give financial aid to you. But whereas private institutions, they're more likely to be more favorable to you.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. Another question is, how do you maintain a good school life balance?
Sleep less.
She definitely totally has that.
Yes. A school life balance. Find friends who have very similar values to you. I think that's very important, because like my friends and I, like we're very, like we have diverse interests, but we have similar values as people. Like we believe in getting a good education. We believe in working really hard at school, but like we also think having fun is also very important. So like lots of time when we have fun, it's literally like doing schoolwork together. So like it works out really nicely, because it doesn't feel like school. Like going to school doesn't really feel like school. It feels like going with my friends without sacrificing like good marks or anything, because I'm actually like with people who also really like good marks. So we all end up working very hard together to get good marks. So I think finding a good friend circle is really good. And then managing time, very good. Like writing down what you need to do, chunking down big projects. Like if I have something like a big exam to study, I will like chunk studying, like study first part of like my first notebooklet, second half of my second notebooklet. Like I'll just chunk this up into multiple days, plan way ahead of time, and make sure like I have everything done. And also always give yourself a little leeway, because some days you just don't want to do work and you just have to move everything back. So like respect yourself in that sense, that sometimes it's just not the day for you. But make sure you plan that out so you're actually not punishing yourself for that. So that actually gives me a good school life balance, because my schedule is flexible enough that that I can move things around and I also get everything done. So yeah. And then being very efficient at studying. I think studying takes up so much unnecessary time, but like if you're really efficient with it, like taking good note-taking habits, right? Quizzing yourself, working collaboratively with friends to study, like so like you guys quiz each other, or like you write note cards. Everyone does it a little differently. Like for me, like watching videos is really good for me, because like I can do other things while watching a video about like a study topic that I have to watch. Or like writing notes is something like I just copy, or like I look at something and then like I try to memorize it and I copy everything down on a piece of paper. It's like very fast, and then I do it once and then I'm done. Like I finish studying, and then just running through some practice questions. I spend half an hour a day for like 3 days before an exam and I'm good. So like really just being efficient, finding those study strategies is like really important, helping you maintain a good work-life balance, school life balance.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that. Emily, you can take Ahil's follow-up question afterwards, but before that, this one's a question more directed towards you personally, Alice. What are you going to do at Harvard and here on after?
That's such a funny question. I'm also very open to things still, especially careers. I think there's like understanding that I don't know a lot, like especially jobs and things. Because I think growing up, there were literally 3 jobs that existed: lawyer, doctor, engineer. And that is not reality. There is more than these 3 jobs, okay? And I don't think I am there what I know anything really outside these 3 jobs still. So I'm still very open to it. But I think I do would like to work, I think, I don't know, like economics, policy, maybe go to grad school in like law or business. Like I'm like still like definitely in the social sciences area. The social sciences, like quantitative social sciences. And then like in terms of career, I think just doing something that really makes me happy and I'm not stuck in an office every day, that I'm going exploring, traveling, maybe consulting. That's very fun. But this is very hard to tell you. But at Harvard, like economics, government, I'm doing like a lot of stuff like in terms of like making policies and things, making policy recommendations. That's what I'm doing in summer for Harvard. So yeah, I don't know. That was very vague because I really don't know either. So yeah, let's move on.
Okay, Ihil asks another question that following up, how do you avoid or deal with burnout?
That's such a good question, because I really think I'm so burnt out right now, just from school. Very timely question right now. I think I was like really burnt out during COVID, but that's like because I like didn't have kind of self-motivation to like do anything. I depended so much on other people, and when COVID hit, like everything was cut off. Like your marks could not fall. Like so, like no matter what you did for schoolwork, it would not affect your marks for COVID for the rest of grade 10 for me. So then like marks was not a motivating factor to learn or do anything anymore. And I had to like seriously reevaluate why I did anything in my life. And once you kind of find like why that motivation, I think it's very easy. It's like you can avoid burnout because there's always something that's going to get you moving. And that's what, like, you have a goal that you're always going to keep chasing. But also just like on the health side, breaks are very fun. I have hobbies, like I play video games, probably a lot more than I should actually be playing, but I don't study all day. Like I watch movies, I play video games, like I go outside, I walk with my dog. I do have a lot of fun, I think. And that's really important. So like maintain that school life balance again.
Great. Thank you for that. Let's take a look at some more questions. Do you have any specific recommendations for extracurricular activities? Like, are there any ones that schools are looking for in particular?
If we say Harvard, like definitely community activities, like working on like city, like local, like youth governing bodies, like City of Edmonton Youth Council, and doing like community work, volunteering at local organizations. That's definitely something they would like to see. Leadership in that sense, leadership at school, leadership in your community, like anything like that, like running clubs, like creating clubs, starting organizations, like even like running events, like leading events, creating events that you're hosting, like those even show leadership. I think that's very important. If you're going to pre-professional schools, like in that, like, so do extracurriculars in that area, like leadership. Like if you want to go to Wharton Business School, a Penn, like it's a very pre-professional school that rejected me, which which was valid. I get it. I understand. I had like 0 extracurriculars in business, like in like very serious big business kind of stuff. And a lot of people did. Like people like made like $1 million companies. I was like, that is not me. So that was very valid that I rejected. But so like these are the kind of people who are getting into business school. And then engineers or like people with like, sorry, this is like seems like very unlike lifelike, because like these people with like patents and stuff, but there's literally people with patents, and then they get into like these very famous engineering schools, like they've literally created stuff and like won so many competitions. But so that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from pre-professional schools, is that you have to be very accomplished in a very specific field, and that's like what your extracurricular is literally. But for the liberal arts, like well-roundedness is really important. Do something in research, do something in community work and leadership, do something in like academic, like competitions, do something like cultural wise, like identity building, like something like well-rounded, have like a job too. So those are kind of extracurriculars I would like, and it worked for me. So
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so what do you think your parents have done to assist you in achieving your goals? And I think you kind of already answered this in your presentation.
yeah, so it's like my advice to parents, because like I think my parents pushed me a lot, like from grade 10 to 11, and in grade 12 they're kind of like, okay, Alice, we understand that you're already very stressed, so we're just gonna, you like, here's money, here's food, we'll drive you, like blah blah blah, like if you need this, we'll get it for you, like you don't have to like spend extra time to figure this out, we'll fix it. Like just like for half a year my parents treated me amazing, like honestly to God, like during university app season it was amazing. but I think like I'm not saying you should treat your kids like that forever, but I think that I'm just trying to say that understanding parents who really understand who your kids are, who I was, what I was going through, was very helpful to me. When I didn't want to get out of bed, someone would literally bang on my door and turn on my lights to get me out of bed. So I would do stuff and get work done, because like that was what I needed at that time. I needed someone to push me, to continue to like make me dive out of my comfort zone, so that I wouldn't get scared, or that like I wouldn't get like lazy. So it's ever evolving as a process as a parent, I think, because your kids are changing and going through different things at different times. But my parents being like very attentive to what I needed, but like also like not restricting me. Like I wanted to do something dumb, my parents are gonna let me do something dumb. Like I ended up painting my room this color, and I actually really regret that still, because I do not know why I chose this color when I was like in grade 7. It was a very bad idea, but my parents were like, Alice, if you want to do it, you should do it with full confidence. You paint your own room. You want this color, you paint everything yourself. And then so once I regretted that, like I learned my own lesson, but like I'm not like, I don't feel worse as a kid. Like I don't feel bad as a kid. I think if my parent just told me no, I would have been so sad and like much more unconfident about my own opinions. Like if everyone constantly says no to me, I'm just gonna be very like, I think like shut in. But because like my parents always said yes to me, even the stupid decisions like this, which I think my mom knew I would regret this, but by letting me do it and learn myself, it's a much more valuable lesson to me, and it doesn't shatter my self-confidence. And it actually empowers me to make mistakes and learn. So I think that was really important.
Your little sister was also an amazing person, right? Say yes.
Yes.
Exactly. See? Thank you. I think we have enough time for one last question, because this has been going on for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So we'll have one last question, which is what keeps you motivated, and like how do you prevent your procrastination? And yeah,
what keeps me motivated?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a very deep question. I think it's very unique to everyone, because it's like, it's not something you can really word, but like I look outside, I read the news, I see what is happening. And I think it's just such a shame if no one does anything about it. That there's so much to do in this world. And that like, even if like 50% of the people could do what they were meant to do here, and like do maybe like some enough things like worth of another person, then I think our world could be like so much like better. And I think I also think that I'm just like, life is so limited on this earth, right? Like in a flash, I'm graduating high school, I'm going to university. That like in a flash, suddenly I'm like 60 and I can't do anything anymore. Or like, and then I'm dead. Later, a flash, I'm dead. Like, would it not be so sad if there was nothing to remember you by, or that you like left this world not doing anything with your life? Like, because like time is so short, like you have to like stuff it in. There's so much work to do that like I don't know if you can finish it in life. Maybe that's kind of scary, but I don't think that far. I try not to think that far, but I just think yeah, like someone has to do it, and that this is our world that we have to live in. So I might as well start now, because like, no offense to the adults, but you will not be living in this world for 50 years. I am the one going to be living in this world and suffering the effects of this world. So I should do something about that and kind of make this place something that I would be proud of living in. So yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Alice. That was a deep dive into your life. And I think it's pretty clear that Harvard saw your intelligence and your brilliance and your amazingness, that they were like, she's got to come here. And I think they were also the only one who saw that. So actually, we also have another person here who is going to introduce a program for us. May.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Evan. Especially special thanks to Alice for this wonderful workshop. This has been a dream. In fact, for me, since we got the news, right, you become a Harvard University student, Alice, you just deserve it. I'm so grateful to have you guys. You are such an aside to this program, Tomorrow Youth. And I do recall everything, Alice, you have been doing with us. Luckily, I recall the first speech during our our talent show series, right at the beginning of this pandemic back in 2020. That is 2 years ago, and we're having a talent show, right? We have been having so much talent shows, such as Stampede Talent Spirit talent show, the government of Alberta Culture Days talent show, and you are the one. Your program is so special. You always make speech, and your first stunning speech right at the beginning back in April 2020 is a call, in fact, to everyone, to all Asian people in Calgary, in Edmonton, in Alberta, in Canada, and in the States, to call us attention to racism, towards the Chinese Canadians or Chinese Americans, overseas Chinese has been experiencing, right, from right at the pandemic. And you have so much to share with us every time. You're a very special your man or whatsoever, your charm. And also, especially, I was always touched by you. You're not only talented, you have so much dedication, so much commitment. You yourself, you share with how much, you are engaged with academia, with extra curriculum, and your extra curriculum is just beyond imagination. It's just, for me, I don't think I can handle it, just a very minor part of that, but you make it all, Alice. You touch us every time, whatever you have been doing with us, and seriously very proud of you. And I'm very grateful to have Edmonton chapter with Evan, with Emily, with Alice, all talented, all super, energetic, also committed or dedicated to community spirit or whatever you're volunteering. And that is the spirit of Tomorrow Youth. We have been doing much, and we have never ceased. Just as as what Alice has put, right? It's always we are making the effort, and we have been always trying our best, and that's so inspiring. And I have a special thank you to Fang, to your wonderful mom, and to Donald. Donald, could you please say something, right? You just everyone. I'm introducing Mr. Donald Yu. Alice, Donald graduated from University of Pennsylvania, right? Not now. That's in 1960s. Okay, Donald is the department director at Alberta University of Alberta Dental School. So he's a very renowned senior expert, and he has always been very willing to share his wisdom with us, with the youth. In I think it's not only with Tomorrow Youth, but also with all the Edmonton Chinese community and the Calgary Chinese community. So Donald, if you have a time, would you like to share with us something, like to encourage Alice, to encourage Emily, to encourage Evan? They are all from Edmonton. And some of them may become a dentist later on, graduated from your school. Okay, are you ready to say something, Donald? Could you please mute yourself? Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. Your introduction humbled me. I graduated from Penn School of Dental Medicine, like I put in the chat, 1979. And then Boston University endodontics, trained under my mentor, Dr. Herbert Schroeder, in endodontics, and been head of the U of A teaching since 1982, and head of the root canal 1995 at the U of A until 2014. And I know for parents, there's always a lot of anxiety. But now easy for me to say, as my son is a plastic surgeon, as I put in the chat, and my daughter is orthodontics. Both of them graduated from Penn, and then Jason further on did the Harvard Boston Children's Hospital craniofacial. So we kind of and a lot of friends, the children all went to the Ivy League school from Edmonton. So So we kind of know the Ivy League school system. I know for you guys sitting at the outsiders, it's always try to get into the Ivy League school, but for us and kind of like the insiders in the helping the school, search and selection committees for the students. As an insider, the main thing is you cannot just say go by the grade 12 at the university time. Just the last year, and you can get into these Ivy League school. You have to plan a lot ahead along all these years, but being Chinese, I think you guys have enough pressure already from your parents. So I think for the parents, the best way to help out the children getting out of the stress is to lead by examples. So that is throw the stress back to your parents. Okay. So I think the parents can lead by the example, like you all say, I learned it from my parents, right? So the parents just have to be the leader and lead by the good example. Then you all will be all okay, right?
Donald, you are definitely, I say, you have such a dentist family, God. And your son and your daughter, they all practice in the States, not instead of in Edmonton now, right?
Yeah, the son is now at the Denver now, and he was at the UCLA. Yeah, but then you're kind of lucky, and have to say sometimes the kids they're self-motivated. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Donald. It's thank you for focusing on youth, next generation, and we all feel that kind of that kind of not only passion, not only care, not only it's a kind of expectation and hope for the next generation. For the youth, we have wonderful youth such as Alice, Emily, the wonderful sisters, and Evan and Anna and Jean. They're all amazing youth, and they are towards their paths towards success. Still, way more ahead, and a lot waiting to us and for them to explore. But it's always great to share, and I hope, Donald, you keep joining our events, and we would love you to our consultants. And also there is with the time limit, okay, we are supposed to end by 8:30, but there is a very special person I know, which Emily and Alice love so much and I respect a lot, but she's just so humble. She will not show herself today. But still greeting, congratulations and thank you to Emily and Alice's mom to be with us. Throughout the pandemic, having your children join our programs, and it's kind of inspirational to each other. Before we end this session, everyone, I have some program to introduce once again that Jean has introduced earlier. So we have some summer program, and we have been having wonderful volunteers such as Alice, Emily, Evan, Jean, Wendy, everyone, but we are still keep recruiting and expanding. So in the summertime, there were two programs where we're going to finish. So first one, we are trying to organize a youth social impact conference. So probably we were working with some youth organizations, say in the States, back in Wall Street and Silicon Valley. So what we're doing is that we are having a conference for all the wonderful youth throughout, across America, or even the state, even across the world. Okay, wonderful youth nonprofits. I know every one of you has been having something during your high school or even starting from your junior high school. So we want to invite you to join the conference and make a presentation, introduce us to your mission, your achievements, whatever your organization is focusing about. I know some youth organization focusing on volunteerism, some focusing on STEM education, and some focusing on donations, so helping the poor and disabilities, whatsoever. Send us your email, send us your presentation or video, make your presentation. You can find my email here. I'm typing in the WeChat. So in the state in this chatting room, I'm leaving my email and also my WeChat, so that everyone can send us, right? Can connect us. So my WeChat is Mayhem 7072. So okay, 7225, and also our email. I think Jim has sent us from the very beginning, and I'm sending again. So send us your video, your contact, and join the conference. And we got to select the best program and join the Wall Street. There was a youth organization. They're organizing, they're co-hosting, and they are the one to produce this youth conference worldwide, international youth conference on social impact. Okay. So this is the first thing we're doing, and we welcome all the youth groups to join us. And secondly, we are still recruiting volunteers and members. So add us, email us, or just you know how you we will keep. Since every one of you have been registering with us, okay, we will keep sending you some information throughout the summertime, and join us for whatever. Let's make fun together, and it's always definitely a fun time to spend with wonderful youth, such as what Alice, Evan, Emily has been presenting to all of you, and thank you again. So okay, once again, find my email, WeChat, everything there, and we are having these kind of competitions with everyone, and open for all the youth, all the organizations. And we are organizing, we're having many volunteering opportunities, big events, conferences, workshops. Become one of our members, and then you got updated, you got newsletters, e-newsletters, or WeChat groups. You got update from us for whatever we have been planning. And thank you again. 好的，最后呢，就是我再强调一下，我们那个暑假是有很多的项目哈，有一个项目呢是我们叫做就是 Youth International Youth Social Impact Conference. It's a big conference. 我们希望选拔加拿大加西这边特别好的最好的青年队伍呢，就是全是你们的 non-profit。很多孩子注册没注册，他们都有自己的 non-profit 的组织哈，义务教课，我们那个做科学实验，有科学实验的 focus 或者教 coding 啊，或者教这个各种各样哈，还有各种各样的 events whatsoever， 机器人比赛 whatsoever. You're all amazing youth. You're all tomorrow's youth. So we are going to give you opportunities, present yourself, and the best team we got to send you to the Wall Street organization. They're organizing something likely. So during the summertime, so 可以所以尽快的联系我们哈，把你们的组织介绍发给我们。在6月底7月初的时候，因为7月初我们就要做出最后的选拔，7月中旬的时候，好吗？也欢迎你们加入我们的这个 newsletter 哈，给我们写信然后呢，我们会give you tickets for updating. Okay, anyway, that's the end of today. We are 10 minutes extra. Alice, do you still, you're the hero today. Do you still have anything to say, Alice?
Oh,
You're
I'm
still
good.
here?
I'm good.
You're good. Emily and Evan?
I think I hope you guys had fun learning from Alice, because she does have a lot to say.
My title.
I don't know. I don't think I myself can catch her step throughout my lifetime. She's just super efficient, and she always have a full time. Yeah, but Alice, 你是要有一个 speech class, right? 可能因为你的 time limit 就是我们可能会有
Yeah, I think I just feel like
limited session.
next this like we'll start this Thursday and then go next Thursday. And then
Okay.
I'm busy actually. I have a lot of stuff happening this summer.
She just has so much commitment. Okay, but you will keep the wonderful connection with us, okay, during your study at Harvard, because we have to keep you as a role model, not that, but that spirit, okay, to keep inspiring tomorrow youth and now youth. And Link CC, every youth organization you have been with, right? Right, Alice? Alice will be our mentor, yeah, with your spirit throughout the time. And thank you for that. Okay, so that's the end of today. Is that so, Evan? Evan and Emily, you are the one to closing
Yep.
this.
That
You are
will
the
be
host.
it, guys. Thank you once again for coming. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, May, for setting this up. Thank you, Jean, who was here but now has left. Thank you, Emily, for being a great co-host. Thank you to me for being another great co-host. Emily, would you like to add anything else?
Yeah, I hope you guys come back because who knows, maybe Evan will be the one going to Harvard next year and you'll have a lot to learn from him. So definitely stay tuned for more updates and have a great summer.
Yep. See you guys soon.
See you soon, and hopefully join us at our youth conference. Okay.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Emily and Evan, we're going to come back a little bit extra. Okay, Alice. Thank you. Bye.
Good night.